Okay, I'm going to give a little demonstration on translating Zkanji into helpful decks. So a few things I've got pre-configured is the deck type and of course the code I wrote to essentially complete the extraction since I thought Zkanji did the CSV, but it's not exactly correct. So first thing, once you have one of your groups or your word groups that you've done for, let's say, a volume, chapter, a manga, something you've read, you're going to go to export, and you're going to do that word export for that word group that you just did. And you're going to do just that group, and you're going to do it for the meaning that you chose that word for. If you create sentences for each, it might be even more beneficial when you're creating it. But we only want the meanings in the group. And then we'll export that, and we'll just say um, test 1, 2, 3. So we'll have test 1, 2, 3 somewhere. Okay, right here. So here's our exported file, and it's a .zkanji. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw this into my code here. And so essentially what's now going to happen is this is what the file looks like. And you probably know if you've seen your exports, this is kind of what they look like. Now we want to get this into a usable CSV, so I got a simple parsing, uh, which I'm going to do here. So kanji or test 1, 2, 3 zkanji.export, hit enter, processes, and it creates a new one in the working directory. So here, this is what this will look like. Now we have a working CSV. So I'm just going to put this on the desktop real quick. Now, how do we do this with ANKI? So ANKI, let's go ahead and just create a deck that this is going to go into. We'll say this is Manga Yotsuba 1. And we'll say volume 1 for maybe we do all the volumes for a single CSV. All right, so we're going to go to import, and on our desktop, we just created the test 1, 2, 3 process CSV. Now, this is what it looks like when it comes up. So the way I separated it was the kanji, the kana, and then the meaning we chose for it. Now, I just did some example stuff here, uh, and we're going to put it into, it's all good. I already used the deck I just chose. So the note type, I have a specific note type that's been used from the Core 2K 6K deck, and it's called Japanese 75658, and it has a lot of these different parsing fields. Essentially, you're just going to do, so that's kanji, that's good. I don't have furigana. That's not the kana. We're going to use the actual kana there. And then vocabulary, English, the meaning. And so existing note types, we're just going to duplicate because I may have these words or through testing, I may already have them already. And then you're just going to hit import. And now you have all of those things in your deck. And so now if we look and we want to study and see, I'll get a, and it's going to be to raise or improve, elevate, and it'll give you the meaning and then the kana reading. So that's easy. You'll see Ushido, back or behind, rear, Tsuma, or Kanai. What That's not the symbol for it, that's just wife or my wife is Kanai. Um, and then, yeah, and then you have essentially a whole deck of all those words you can study, put on repetition. Uh, and yeah, that took about 5 minutes. I can make the code available uh, and make it command line runnable. So you can also just essentially what I did in that Python is it's just a command line interface. You can give it a path to any file of your export in the working directory you're in. It will create the output, and then you will have a deck for it. Voila! It'll take about maybe 3 to 5 minutes for each word group you have, unless you do select all of them. So if you do export all of them, so maybe you just do each volume chapter, you create a new one. When you do your export, during your word export, you just collect all the things you want and it'll create it in a single export and you can put that into a single deck. Now, I do want to just go ahead and show the card type, um, just so you can see. I think it's just called notes. If I go to add note, show you what the basic types look like. So my note type, when you're creating a note type, the Japanese, uh, you can see this is what it's just adding fields here, and there is settings to where I include HTML, and it does include uh, the Japanese language. Other card types may not include it, so if you try to import it under basic and it has a kana in it, it may not be able to read that if you don't have the uh, correct uh, keyboard layout for the card. So that's something you may have to look into. Um, so yeah, that's it.